Very warm welcome to Storage Area Network Module 2. Myself Dr. Lokesh MR. I am handling these subjects along with Professor Amrut, Information Science Department. So, last few classes we have discussed about the network attached storage systems, where it will be used for attaching the different environments, okay, different file systems, okay. So usually whenever we are communicating with the networks, okay, that means data centers by the host, so we need to interact with many servers, okay, many servers. That servers will consolidate the information of the host data and it will provide the information to the storage data centers, storage information, that is data centers. So last class we have discussed about network attached storage systems, how network attached storage systems contains, and we have talked about what is the advantages of making our host systems into a network attached systems like that. And we have also discussed about the different layers, okay, starting from the application layers, and it's having a dedicated operating systems for communication between the host machine as well as a data centers, and the components also we have discussed something called, it contains something called network attached headers as well as storage arrays like that, okay. Today we are discussing about how do those network attached systems will be communicating with the set of rules, okay. Today's discussions we will discuss about what do you mean by network attached protocols, something like network files systems, network file storage systems, okay, network file storage systems, as well as common internet file storage systems, okay, common internet file storage systems protocols. This is a protocol. Along with that, we discuss the new concepts. After discussing the concepts of network attached storage systems, we will discuss regarding the file level virtualization. It is very much important. You know that virtualization plays the major role whenever we want to enhance the applications or the features of storage area networks. That means we need to provide information to the larger extent, and we need to increase the performance of the storage area networks. We perform virtualization operations. How do we do the virtualization at the file levels? That is the discussions we will do it today. Along with that, we discuss about something called object based storage devices. You know that whenever we are storing any informations, that informations may be a raw informations, okay, and usually whatever the informations we stored, it's not only a structured informations, it may be unstructured data also, something like videos, something like some set of informations, meta informations. It is not actually the data which we are storing in the data centers in the form of structured data. We need to store the informations in unstructured data also. At that cases, how do we look into those datas, okay, that those datas will be looked in form of object based. If we are looking our datas, both structured data and unstructured data by using a object based storage, it is having more advantages. How it looks like, what are the components we are adapting for storing our informations in the form of object based storage, those things and all we will discuss. Along with that, we discuss something called unified storage. You know that whenever we are storing the informations, we can't store the informations like as we like. So we need to store the informations according to a unified way, so that all the different types of end users should be access the common platform of the storage informations. So those things we are discussing. It's very much important to today's class, because we are discussing about the virtualization concepts, we are discussing about the object based storage concepts, we are discussing about the unified storage concepts, like that. Okay, so now let us continue the concepts which we have already come across in the previous session. So that is nothing but a storage attached, network attached file systems. Okay, network attached storage. Okay, network attached storage, that means all the network, all the host machines needs to be connected with some servers. Instead of servers, we are connecting a special dedicated servers by the name called network attached systems, which is mainly used for sharing the files, because all the informations which we are storing in the data centers or retrieving the informations from the data centers in the storage area networks is in the form of files only. For that, we need to follow some certain rules to communicate between the host machine as well as the data centers. Those rules is nothing but a file sharing protocols. File sharing protocols. Usually, file sharing protocols is used for handling the files in the IO request operations in the remote places. For example, the host machines which is wants to communicate with the data centers, maybe in a remote places. Okay, those host machines we call it as a remote file systems. Okay, remote file systems. In a lower versions we call it as a remote file systems. Those remote file systems can be accessed through the IO request only by using a different set of protocols. One protocols we are using something called network file system protocols. Another system is common internet file system protocols. Okay, these two protocols are used to share the files. Okay, used to share the files to the data centers by using a different operating system environment, because the host person who is using the computers may be using different environment. Maybe he is using Unix environment, he is using Windows environment. He needs to communicate with the data centers by using different rules. Okay, different operations. Okay, these different rules will be discussed today. So first let us discuss about the network file systems. Okay, network file systems. Okay, so this is a client server protocol for sharing the files between the Unix operating environment. What do you mean by that? That means whenever we are communicating between the client host machine as well as the data centers, the host machines will be treated as a client machines, and the data centers will be acts like a server machines. Okay, in that fashion we use this protocol, network file system protocols. Network file system protocol will be acting like a client server protocols. Okay, client server protocols. Okay, so this protocol will be working for UDP. Okay, will be working in the form of UDPs. What do you mean by UDP? UDP is nothing but a user datagram protocols. You people have come across in the computer networks where there are two types of transportation protocols, set of protocols, two types of transportation protocols. One is a TCP protocol, another one is a UDP protocols. We know that TCP protocols is a connection oriented protocols, where once the acknowledgement is received from the destination node, then the data will be transmitted. But UDP protocol is not a connection oriented protocol. It is a connectionless user datagram protocols. User datagram protocol means it won't expects the acknowledgement from the destination node for sending the data. So it will just send the data at some point, it will expect acknowledgements. Okay, that means so connection establishment is not bothered about these protocols. The data will be sent as it is, and in some instant that acknowledgements will be received. This file transfer protocol will be accessing the will be using the concept of user datagram protocol. That means connectionless user datagram protocols, and this protocol is machine independent. Okay, machine independent. What do you mean by machine? It uses the concept of machine independent module. What do you mean by that? That means whenever we are talking about the transferring of data from the host machine as well as the data centers, so it has to be transferred along with the specified environment and specified groups of data will be accessed. For example, whenever we are accessing a VTU websites, okay, that VTU websites should be following some set of server formats. So that means it will share only the files, data files formats. The data files formats will be in the form of only the text. So, but in some cases we need to communicate between the different datas, something like video datas needs to be shared, and online streaming data needs to be shared, like that. So in such type of environment, if you want to deal with the different types of data users, okay, so we need to use some machine independent model. That means it should not depends only the infrastructures they are using it. So it may have any infrastructures, but it needs to be work. Okay, at that cases we go for network file system protocol for communicating between the host machine as well as the data centers. So what are the set of rules they are following whenever we are communicating between the network file systems? As I was telling that these protocols will be working for remote procedure calls. Okay, that means the person who is accessing the files at the remote places, he needs to communicate with the things. So the operation of network file systems has to follow some rules. What is the rules? So it needs to search the file and directories. The first step, it needs to search the files and directories when the person in a remote places when the host machine is accessing the data centers. Once it is finding the files in the directory in the data centers, next it needs to open a read operations, if already present it. If already the file is presented, it also performs the operations of writing to the file if already the file is present. And obviously whether we are read or write operations, we need to close the files after some operations is being done. Okay, so and also these network file systems will be allow us to change the attributes of the files. Okay, what do you mean by attributes of files? That means the information about the files needs also to be changed. Okay, and also it is used for changing the file links and directories. What do you mean by that? File links and directories. That means all the files present in the data centers will be connecting with the file formats. So we have discussed in the module 1 in a different session, telling that whenever we are communicating between the host machine as well as the data centers, it will be following some file links. Okay, file links and file formats, file links as well as and file links, and it follows some directory times of accessing it. It won't access the information as it likes. So it needs to be access the data centers with the different file links and as well as different directories. These are the set of rules which will be followed whenever we are accessing by using a network file systems. That means the operations of the network file systems is, the first step is to search the files and the directories present in the data centers. Once it is identified the files in the data centers, it will be read and write it will open and then it will perform the read operations. If the person is requesting for accessing the information from the data centers, or else it will write the data if the host machines is requested for writing the data after when it is closes. Even our network file systems will allow us to change the attributes of the file attributes of the systems. Okay, like that we are following some set of rules by using network file systems for communicating between the host machine as well as the data centers. So there are different versions of network file system, depends upon the applications. Okay, so it's not only specifying that we need to have a only UDP type of communications. In some applications we need to have a transport control protocols, in some transport network protocols like that, and whenever we are communicating between the different types of protocols like UDP and TCP protocols, which is performs the operations of connection oriented and connectionless protocols, we have something called stateless network connections and stateful network connections. Okay, like that, and sometimes we need to have both UDP protocol as well as a TCP protocol at the same locations. Like that, we need to have a different types of versions of network file systems. Okay, one let us consider network file systems, network file systems version 2. Okay, this network file system network 2 will be acts like a UDP transmissions as well as stateless network connections between the client as well as the server. What do you mean by that? That means stateless means, you people have already come across in the computer networks. Stateless means whenever the whenever we are transmitting the data from the client machine as well as the data servers, so it needs to transmit the data and some of the information will be kept in the memory, so that the same operations comes, it won't recall all, it won't update all the routing table in the data centers. Just it will look in the previously occurred communications, and then it will perform the operations of forwarding the packet from the different routes. Okay, so that is called as a stateful networks. Okay, sometimes if you perform such operations, that means all the communication has to be remembered in some places for the future operations, then the memory will be the buffer size which we are using for communications will be increased. So to avoid that, so we design a network. Okay, the people will be designing a network so that there should be a communication between the client and servers with the stateless network. Stateless network means the previous operations, communications between the client and the server should not be kept in the buffers. So it should be clear as and when itself. Such type of networks we are using, it is called as a stateless networks. Such concepts will be used in network file system version 2, where it uses the UDP communications as well as stateless network for communication between the client as well as the servers. Okay, if you use such type of operations, that means you should use a use a datagram protocol, and it should use a stateless protocols. So the file handling will be very easy from the outside person. Okay, outside person in the sense that like host machines needs to be managed the data centers, and we need to access frequently. So it is more advantageous than regularly using the operations. This is a general concept which we have discussed. These network file systems will be represented in the form of different versions. One version is the network file system version 2, so where it acts like a UDP communication as well as a stateless network communications. The next type of versions of the network file system is network version 3. So this network version 3 will be commonly used version because it uses both UDP type of connections as well as a TCP type of connections along with the stateless protocol designs. Okay, so it contains a new versions compared to the olden versions while we are handling with the files in the communication between the client as well as the servers. Okay, so it uses a 64 bits size of files, which is of asynchronous write operations, and additional attributes will be used to fetch the data so that we can reduce the changing informations. Like we know that the main operations of a network file system is to search the files and the directories, and it will be opening the files by in the read mode or write to mode, and it will close the operations, and it's also perform the operations of changing the file attributes. Okay, these file attributes, network file system 3, network file system version 3 uses the concept of both UDP type of transport communication as well as a TCP type of transport communication, and it uses a stateless protocol designs, and it uses the 64 bit size of asynchronous write operations, and it also gives additional file attributes changes, so that it's having more advantages compared to the network file system version 2. So version 3 is the most widely used network file system protocols between the client as well as the server. Okay, another type versions of network file system is version 4. Okay, this is specifically used transport layer protocol, that means TCP protocols, and it is uses a stateful protocols. It offers different features, like as we have told that, so stateless protocols will not keep the track of communication between the client as well as the server. So if the same communication will be occur, so it won't be remember the previous communications. But stateful communications, if you use this protocol, will uses the stateful protocols. So these two protocols uses stateless communication protocol along with the TCP and UDP communications. But this version 2 protocol will uses the TCP protocols. It's a reliable protocols you people have come across. If you are transporting our data by using a TCP protocols, this protocol is having a reliable protocol, but it is obviously slow because it expects the acknowledgements from the destination node, then only data will be transmitted, but it is a reliable protocols. And it network file system version 2 uses the stateful protocols. By these the security will be enhanced. Okay, security will be enhanced. So and latest versions and by using those type of operations, that means while we are communicating between the different file different nodes along with the data centers through the network file systems. So by using a security increases, so it's a most widely used than compared to the other versions. So now we have having a 4.1 version protocols which is enhance the network security, and it's having a different new features, something called session modeling, like that, because session modeling as well as a parallel network file systems and data retention things and all. Data retention in the sense that the data will be stored, and the information, metadata informations will be kept for keeping track of the more informations for further data. Okay, those things will be added. Okay, those features will be added in the network file system version 4. So that means it's having a, I was talking about something called in network file system 4.1, something called session model. Session model in the sense that you people know that in the Unix operating system, whenever we are sharing the information to the many users, we are sharing the information through the different time slice, okay, or different sessions. Okay, whenever we are communicating between the host machine as well as the data centers, we need to give a n number of we need to give the information to the n number of users. That will be given by using a session model, and these protocol will be working as a parallel network file system protocols. Okay, parallel network file system protocols, and the data retentions will be done. Data retentions means the informations about the data is kept in contact for communication, for further communications. Like that, we have a different types of network file systems. Now let us discuss the second version of communications protocol between the host as well as the data centers, which is nothing but a common internet file system protocols. Common internet file system protocol. This protocol is also acts like a client server protocols, but it will work in the form of application protocol. So you know that whenever we are communicating between the different hosts, we are starting with the application layer, transport layer, network layer, as well as a data link layer and physical layer, like that. So these common internet file system protocol is a client server application protocol, which enables the clients to make the request of file services and all in a remote places by using a concept of TCP IP protocols. That means, so it works if the client needs to access the files in the data centers, the client machines will be installing the common internet file systems in the host machines, and through the host machines the file will be communicating. So earlier in the network file systems, we have a different types of communication protocols inbuilt in the transport layers, but in this common internet file systems is a application layer protocols which will be used for communications. Since it is an application protocol, it will be act like a public protocols. That means it is not a proprietary protocols, or you know that it is a open source protocols. So where it will be called as SMW protocols. That means variation of server blocks protocols. So variations of, it is the renaming of variations of server message protocols. Okay, variation of server message blocks. That means this is one type of protocol which we call it as SMB protocol for and it is a application protocol, and it is a open end protocols. Okay, by this it's provide, okay, these protocols will be providing the information of data privacies. Okay, it provides the informations of data privacy and as well as a data integrations. Okay, data integration in the sense that it uses a uniformity in the communication purpose. Okay, uniformity in the communication purpose of a different files. What do you mean by that? That means it uses files and record locking to prevent the users to override the work by the another users. That means it gives some security options, okay, while we are accessing the files in the data centers. It will avoid the other persons to access the files. Okay, only the relevant persons only it will be accessed. That means files, file access and record locking options are available in the common internet file systems, and it will be supporting for fault tolerance operations. What type of fault tolerance? So the fault tolerance means like whenever any errors occurs while we are accessing the informations or while writing the informations or any opening the files in the data centers, any fault occurs, that can be overcome automatically. It will restore the connections and reopen the files according to the priority of the requested by the client machines. If any interrupted occurs due to some faults by the host machines, it will be automatically overcome by using the common interface file system protocols. Okay, so this is how actually different types of two protocols it's been used. One is a network file system protocols with the different versions, and common internet file system protocols. It is having the advantages of data integrity operations. So the data integrity operations, by these it is having a more secured communications and it's having the options of file locking options, so that it will avoid the other person to access the files. If any other person is accessing the file, it will protect it, okay, from the users. So now let us discuss about the concept called file level virtualization. And I was talking about in the beginning while giving the introduction. So what is the advantages of file level virtualizations? Okay, so virtualization plays the major role whenever we need to improve the performance of storage area networks, okay, for communicating between the different operations. The file level virtualizations will eliminate the dependency between the access of files and as well as the location where the files are stored physically. The main purpose of virtualization is to make a dependencies between the different dependency. It will eliminate whenever we are accessing a file from the data centers. We need to go to a particular physical storage devices and we need to access to overcome that burdens. Okay, if the physical storages is not available due to network infrastructures or some other issues, something like overloading and all, then it will be a problem for us to access the files. So to overcome those things, what people have done, the physical storages devices has been created a virtual data. That means the address of the files is been created so that it will not depends on the physical storages. So it will be accessed at the file levels. File levels means at the location level the data is accessing it. Okay, data is accessing it, and it's also used to access the data in the form of address instead of actual file systems. So to perform, if you perform such type of operations, that means instead of directly accessing the physical data, if you are accessing the data through the location or through the address, so those concepts, so the accessing the data through the address as well as through the location, it is called as a file level virtualizations. If you perform these operations, the implementation of network file systems, okay, attaching of network file systems such as network attached storage systems is very easy. So that means it will not be affecting to the physical storages. We are all working on the virtual environment for accessing the files. The corruption of the files will be avoided if we are developing a file level virtualization concepts. So it's not only that means avoiding the loss of physical data if you are accessing the data through the file virtualizations. So it's also used for helping the files for the mobility operations. Mobility operations means we can access the files in a different location. As we are telling that the main purpose of storage area networks is to keep our data in one places and accessing in the remote places. If we are virtualizing the virtualize the data at the file levels, we can share our data to a many locations. That means independent locations we can access the files. Okay, and if you are making a file level virtualizations, so it will create the logical pool. It will create the logical pools of storages. Okay, logical pools of storages. So whenever we perform such type of logical pools of storages, so it will be accessing the files at the logical path. It will be accessing the file at the logical path, or else it's also available for accessing the physical path also. So if you are accessing the files through the physical path, there may be a loss in the data of a physical data, original data may be lost, or it may uses of burdening of accessing the same file by the different people. Instead of that, we make a physical path into a logical path, and we provide the informations to the n number of users. Okay, that means the accessing capability of the files will be increased whenever we are making a file systems virtualizations at the file levels. Okay, next, not only that, we can also have a facility of moving our data files if you are making our file level virtualizations. If you make a file level virtualizations, we can move the data online. Okay, online. So that means we can transfer a data through different servers to the different locations. That means moving the data means like assume that the client, one person is accessing the files in India, and is accessing the data in one data centers. Slowly he is moved back to the new locations and he needs to access the informations. Okay, then those informations needs to large number of accessing the information. That means he needs to locate it to the Indian data centers, and then he has to locate. Instead of that, if you are moving the location of the data to the place where actually the client is requesting the informations through the file level virtualizations, it is made easy to access the files at the same location, even though the data is placed in the different locations. Okay, so like that, so the file movement, okay, through the online can be provided if you are making our files in a file level virtualizations. So by that we are giving a global level global namespaces for the file space for the file whenever we are using a logical path. That means we design a logical path for making a file level virtualizations. So at that cases we provide a global namespaces for the location of the file path so that it can be accessed. So you people have come across with data grams and all, how actually the data will be accessed like that. So by adding some extra features to the data formats like that, so we give a global namespace for the logical path so that it can be accessed the information at many places. So let us see how actually our communications at the file level will looks like. Okay, assume that we have a storage array. Okay, you people, this is the data centers, the storage array. These data centers needs to access with the different clients, Okay, so assume that this is one type of client, so he is accessing the information. This is one region of client, this is another one region of the client. So if these two region of the clients needs to be accessed with the array of data centers, that means this is the intelligent storage. Okay, it's having the 2 port along with the cache memories like that, and we have a different types of arrays which are placed in the storage networks. This is how it looks like. Okay, so our storage array looks like. So this client side machine will be accessing with the storage array by using a network attached storage systems. These network attached storage systems will be accessing the information by using a network header. Okay, like different headers. This network header in turns will be connecting to the storage arrays. Similarly, these networks will have one more network attached storage headers. So these headers are in turns will be connecting like this. Okay, this is the architecture of storage area networks between the client machine as well as the data centers without using the file sharing at the network levels. Okay, so instead of that, so what we will do it, we will create a virtual layer. Okay, we will create a virtual layer. So by keeping the physical layer like this, these virtual layers will use a software by the name called Hyper virtual like that. So we call it as virtualization applications. Okay, virtualization applications. So instead of directly communicating with the network attached systems, it will communicate along with these all nodes will be communicating along with the virtual layers. Okay, so virtual layers. So these logical layers will be in turns will be communicating with the host machines. Okay, or data centers. It will be communicating with the data centers. This is how actually the infrastructure looks like. So without having a network file systems, so it directly attaching to the network attached storages, and then it's accessing the storage area. When we make a file level virtualizations, these file level virtualizations will be creating a logical layer logical layers, which is nothing but the abstract of the original files, and we call it as a virtualization applications. Through that we can access with the different locations. These locations may be placed in one places, and these locations may be placed in the other places, like that. Okay, so this is how actually the this is the diagram which shows after the file level virtualization, like that. And I was telling that we have a concept. This is regarding the virtualization, and we understood what is the applications and advantages if you make our file system virtualization at the file level itself. Okay, we can access in a remote places, like that. So now let us discuss the next concept by the name called object based storage devices. So what actually these object based storage devices will do? As I was telling that whenever these object based storage devices will be used for storing the information in the data centers in a object oriented fashions. Okay, what is the use of it? So if we are making our storage informations in the object basis, so if we are making our data should be stored in the object oriented, so it will be used to represent the unstructured data in the data centers. Unstructured data are something like movies or office documents or graphics, and are represented in the form of an object. It won't look what type of data it is, whether the data is a structured data, like that. We are representing all the data in a consolidated fashions, and we are sharing it. So if we are making our data is represented in the form of object based storages, so it will be application, it will be used for making our storages in a scalable fashion. Okay, scalable in the sense that we can increase the as many number of data we need to store it. Okay, it's not that a specified data, so it may be stored many number of data. Okay, we can increase the data, and it can perform the operations of self management. Okay, self management data means like it can like if you are having a structured data, we need to have a special database management systems, and if it's a unstructured data, we need to have a special database management like data analytics, like that. So instead of that, we keep a generic operations, okay, generic storage devices, which we call it as a object based storages, where it contains both structured data and unstructured data. This management activities will be made it self managed. Okay, it's not specified, and it is also a protected, so easily we can protect it. You know that if we are keeping our data in the object oriented fashions, it can be protected, and sharing the information is also made easy. Okay, sharing the data is also made easy whenever we are keeping our data in the form of object based storages. So object based storages is also called as a identified in the form of flat address. Okay, flat address in the sense that it's having a specific addresses. It uses a specific addresses for the each location instead of along with the inode numbers. Okay, we represent the storage informations of a file in the form of inode numbers or some file indexing, like that. But if we are representing our data storages in the object based storages, we use some flat addresses. That means we use some spaces, and we provide some locations. Usually we know that we have come across something called hash table, hash index, like that. That means the specified names will be given for each things, and whenever we are representing the storage informations by using a object based devices. So we are not keeping our files in the form of hierarchical fashion. We know that keeping a file in a hierarchical fashion is the tedious task initially while we are storing. It is usually for accessing the information, but keeping tracking of storing in the hierarchical fashion tedious task. Instead of that, whatever the data it come, whether it's a structured data or unstructured data, we consolidate that data in the form of directories and as well as a file, and we keep it in a object oriented fashions. Okay, so that through the flat address we are accessing the informations. Okay, while we are performing such type of operations, we are following some formats, okay, of representing the files in the object oriented fashions. One is we represent the informations, okay, data. So you know that this is the data, we need to store it, and along with that we are keeping the track of something called metadata. Okay, metadata, that means we have an information about the data, that means what size of data it is, when it is created, and who is the owner, and so informations are created. And also it keeps some other related attributes, related attributes. So you know that attributes means it is the information about the files, okay, information about the files like that. So we represent the information of the object oriented designs, okay, by using a like this. Okay, assume that we have a databases like this. These databases are having along with the objects. These objects contains, okay, these objects contains, it's not in a hierarchical fashion, okay, it's not in a hierarchical fashion, it is in the distribution fashion. These objects contains a object ID, that is a flat ID to represent it, object ID, and this should contains a metadata, as I mentioned, that is the information about the data, and this is the raw data which needs to be accessed, and it should contain say attributes, okay, that means the information about the files needs to be changes. So this is how actually the file or the objects looks like whenever we are storing in the database, okay, which is of the object basis. These object IDs which we are generating for storing the information is used algorithms, something called hash table, hash functions. Hash functions are the dynamic address storages which is generated automatically whenever we are accessing the informations. As I was telling that there are different types of components which are used in the data centers for accessing storing the informations. We can easily remember or identify some of the components, okay. So we are using the components something called nodes, okay, and we are using a components called private networks, network, and the third components we are using a storages are the data. So these are the components are available in the databases for storing the information. It contains a node and it provides a private networks and storages. Private networks are this, okay, that means like the main objects, okay, of creating a data in the form of object based storage informations is done by using the different components, something like nodes, private network storages like that. Each ID is created by using the different algorithms by the name called hash functions. Similarly, the node which is represented in the databases having two key services. One is a metadata services as well as a storage services or a data services. So metadata services will generate the object ID from the content of an attributes. So it will identify what attributes the data is present. According to the attributes, the metadata will generate say ID. Okay, ID. So this type of services is called as metadata services. Metadata services. And once again, as I was telling that this data is nothing but a storage management services. These storage management services is used to identify the different spaces available in the object oriented networks. That means it will take care the storage parts of the information, and then it will access it. Let us identify the procedures of storing the information and retrieving the informations of a object based storages. Okay, how the objects are stored, and retrieved. Okay, objects are stored and retrieved. The main in the object based things. Retrieval. Okay, how the object is retrievals. So the what it will do, so the application server represents the files stored in the object based nodes. Okay, so as I was telling that there are different components of the object based. It contains a node based and private networks as well as a storage networks. These node in turns will be connecting to the networks. Okay, networks and it identified by the application servers telling that these files is a object based storage data, object based storage data. This object based storage data is divided into two groups, as we are knowing that one is the user data, another one is the metadata. Okay, and metadata is the information about the data. So this object based node will generate the object ID using a specialized algorithms called hash table, like that, for executing the content of storing the informations and retrieving the informations. Now let us identify what are the steps it will follow whenever it is storing the informations and retrieving the informations in the object oriented databases. The first step is application server presents the files to be stored in the object oriented base. Second step is object oriented nodes divides the files into two groups. One is a user data as well as a metadata. Third step is object oriented node will generate a object ID for the data to store in the data centers. Okay, that these are the three procedures it will follow for storing the data. And further, if you need to access for retrieving the data, then the stored nodes will having the metadata informations. These metadata informations will be accessing using the object ID, which is generated by the hash table, to retrieve the informations. Okay, it uses the metadata services for retrieving the informations from the databases. So the data which is stored in the objects are retrieved by using a storage services. Okay, storage services. Once the data is retrieved from the storage services, the acknowledgement will send to the server telling that the data is been received and the data is been requested data has been successful, like that. This type of accessing the data will be done by using a object based data, and it is having more advantages, like it will be stored unstructured data also, because we know that we are having different versions of data storages like that. Now let us identify how actually our all storage informations are be stored in the unified fashion. Unified fashion in the sense that, like we need to consolidate all our informations in the form of unique ID. Okay, unique ID. So that will be done by the concept called unified storage. So unified storage is nothing but consolidating all our file systems. As we know that our data is stored in the form of blocks, our data is stored in the form of files, our data is stored in the form of objects. Okay, all these, whether the data is stored in the blocks, or whether the data is stored in the files, or whether the data is stored in the object oriented, all are looks in a single solutions. Okay, single solutions, and we are using different types of protocols, something called common internet file system protocol for accessing the files, and network interface protocols for accessing the files by using a networking concept, and we are using a different ports, something called internet simple computer small computer interface, something called ISCI, and we are using a fiber channels over the internet, like that. And we are using one more protocol by the name called REST protocol for communication between the host machine as well as the data centers, and we are using a SOAP protocol, we are using the object oriented protocol, like that. So REST is nothing but the represental state transfer protocol, represental state transfer protocols. SOAP protocol is a simple object access protocols. This is how actually we are consolidating, we need to make a consolidate operations for accessing different formats of files present in it. That will be done by using a unified storages. So to perform such type of operations, unified storage operations, so we need to design an architecture something like this. Okay, assume that we have a different storage area networks. Okay, so these storage area networks, different storage areas are present here. Okay, different storage arrays of a disk are present. These different disks are needs to be accessed. Let us design how our unified networks will looks like. Architecture looks like this is a data arrays. So these data arrays should have some storage process. Okay, this storage process will be accessing with the different storage protocols. Different storage protocols means, like assume that, so the data is stored in the form of block request. Okay, the data is access. Okay, I was talking about something called different level of accessing, file levels as well as a block level, as an object level, like that. How actually the accessing of the information is done to the from the client to the data centers will be done. Okay, this is an overall consolidated architecture. Block level request may be done. So or else the request will be done by using a network attached headers. Okay, network attached headers. These network attached headers will be communicating in both a block level request as well as a file level request. This is a block level file request. So since we are converting a network attached storage, so the information will be accessed at the file levels. Okay, file level request will be done. So these file level request will be done by using a storage area networks. Or else if the data is stored in the object based data. So assume that it contains a object based storage. So it contains a OSI, object based storage data nodes. Okay, then the data will be accessing with the storage process by using a block request. Okay, block request. So this is also a block request IO operations. Okay, and here object request IO operations. The data is accessing through the node by using a object level of, okay, object request. This is the object request. This is how actually it looks like. This object request in turns will uses the network called state representation networks, or else simple object SOAP networks like that, or else it uses representative state transfer protocols, or simple object access protocols, or some API it will be using. Okay, if it is a file level protocol, we are using a transport layer protocol, something called network file system. Okay, network file systems are common internet file system like that. So if you are using a block level protocol, we are using a simple computer, small interfaces like that. So or else we are using a fiber channels, or else we are using fiber channel over internet. These are the protocol which we are using it. These protocol in turns will be connecting to the client machines. In turns will be connecting to the client machines. These client machines, sometimes we do the virtualized client machines for accessing. Okay, this is the client machines we are accessing it. Okay, this is how actually our networks will looks like. Full consolidated infrastructure networks will looks like. Okay, this is the network infrastructures, how actually our whole storage networks will be unified by using a different infrastructures. Okay, this is whole thing which we are using it, so will be used. Okay, this whole thing will be a array part. Okay, storage array part. The other thing is network infrastructure as well as a client machines. These are all the host machines or client machines which is needs to access the data centers like that. So if you are observing here, we are using a different types of protocols, we are using a different types of headers for communication, and we are using a different types of nodes like that. So all these informations are communicating with the different types of protocols, something called SOAP protocol, that means simple object access protocols, and stateless representation protocols like that. So by this this is how actually the storages of all type of infrastructures are consolidated and accessed and requested by the IO operations. These are all the IO, through IO operations only the data will be accessed. Okay, by this we are concluding the module 2, telling that and recalling that we have discussed many type of infrastructures, starting from the intermediate devices, something like hubs, okay, arbitrary loops and switches, okay, and gateways like that. And we have discussed about something called coaxial cables, fiber channel cables, as well as internet protocols. Okay, and internet protocol will be merging along with the existing infrastructures, something called small computer simple interface protocol, and we call it as a small computer internet protocols like that. And then slowly we are merging our internet technology along with the existing Ethernet protocol, and we call it Ethernet protocol, as well as the wired protocol, something like fiber channels like that, and we call it as a fiber channel over Ethernet like that, and we have come across with the concept called network attached servers. Okay, instead of having a universal communication directly between the host machine as well as the data centers, we use a network attached servers or a dedicated servers with dedicated operating systems for accessing the data centers like that. And today we have, and different protocols we have come across. So today we have discussed something called we are representing the data in the form of objects, and we are representing the storage in the form of unified storage, where it consolidates all the operations like that. Through this we have come across with we are ending the session of module 2, and we are starting the module 2 in the next session. Thank you so much.